I think we started looking at the blockchain space 4 years ago. We've issued 3 consultation documents. We set up a working group between the public sector and the private sector with businesses interested in the space. And over a period of those 3 consultation periods over that 4-year term, we issued last May in 2017 the final consultation document on how we propose to regulate the blockchain space. That led to legislation in October of 2017 and became effective on the 1st of January of 2018. Since that time, we've had some 38 businesses coming to Gibraltar to be regulated in the blockchain space. 7, 8 have been licensed in principle by the regulator, and the others are going through the process of regulatory approval. And that has led to a lot of interest in Gibraltar and what we're doing in blockchain. We are taking a careful and cautious approach. Firms have to be in Gibraltar, they have to have the minder management in Gibraltar, they have to be regulated in Gibraltar. We have what we call 9 core principles, which are very similar to financial services. It's not a light touch, it's proper regulation. And we believe that businesses which have the proper corporate governance, fitness and propriety, security measures, capital, business plans in place in the way that they should have, will have a much greater chance of success. And we've managed to attract some very good names: eToro, Robi, CoinFloor, Token Market. These are well-known names in the industry, with some others which I cannot yet mention going through the regulatory process. That's where we are today. Within a month, I expect to have the token legislation ready, so that we begin to regulate issuance of token sales from Gibraltar. It's an area that we believe has a lot of risk, but we think it's a very good way of raising capital for startup businesses, and therefore we want it to happen, but in a safe environment. And we believe that by regulating the token issuers, we will enable people that invest in those tokens to have a greater degree of confidence, not in the success of the project, but at least things will be done properly. And that means that, again, corporate governance, fitness, propriety, they will have audits both on financials and on technology, that they have the best chance of succeeding. And I think that is the next phase of what we do. And then after that, we'll be going into crypto funds and seeing how we develop the regulatory framework for crypto funds to continue to operate from Gibraltar. It doesn't. I think most of the ICOs that we were looking at were primarily institutional, which I think want some form of regulation in place before they feel comfortable. I think that what we had last year was an explosion. That was not sustainable over a long term. And to be honest, it's a terrible shame, because it's an incredibly good way for startup businesses to raise money. Capital markets aren't as fluid as they used to be, and certainly not in such a risky space as this. And therefore, to be able to put a regulatory framework around what token sales are and how those should be running themselves will lead more people to invest. But I think it's an area for experienced investors to look at. I think it's an area where institutions will be more comfortable looking at, provided there is a regulatory framework that they are comfortable with. We are looking for what we call partners. We're looking for private sector firms that are serious about regulation, that are serious about doing business properly, that look forward to being regulated. All the firms that have come to Gibraltar are the ones that want to be regulated. That's a good starting position to be in, because the ones you don't want are the ones that don't want to be regulated. And consequently, just by regulating, we are attracting the type of quality firms that we have. And when we went into remote gaming some 25 years ago, very few jurisdictions did. We thought it was a long-term sustainable business. And we had a philosophy of 3 main factors. They had to be quality operators, they had to have their mind and management in Gibraltar, and they had to be regulated. In the last 25 years, not one of our gaming companies has failed. And we're using that same philosophy in how we're dealing with blockchain and the DLT space. I think the big difference is that we started this 4 years ago. So in terms of time, I think we're ahead of many of the other jurisdictions. Our legislation was the first to become effective in legislating and regulating blockchain. I think we already have firms that are today licensed by the regulator. The regulator has the experience and the expertise. So I think we were ahead of the game because we started 4 years ago. It's something that's taken us a long time to get comfortable with, both as a government and as a regulator. And we've done that together. So it's the regulator, the private sector, and the government sitting around a table, working our way through the many issues that this gives us. So working together, we've been able to come up with a formula by bringing in expertise that we didn't have at the time to help us get through this and produce what I think is a very good regulatory framework, and a safer environment for consumers. We're looking to protect consumers, and that's what regulation ultimately is all about, and we think we've done that very well. Well, there are always risks in everything you do. The question is whether you're able to mitigate and manage those risks. What we believe we've done is by having the regulatory framework, by forcing companies to apply for licenses and be properly regulated, that we are mitigating that risk. Of course, you have banks in Europe who have problems, whether it's money laundering problems or capital problems. Those risks are always there every day of the week in every single marketplace that we know. So the most that we can do as a government, and the regulator can do as a regulator, is ensure that the framework that we put in place gives us the best possible position to be able to mitigate that risk. But the risk is always there in any sector, in any jurisdiction around the world. This is a very long-term thing.
Yeah.
It's impossible for me to put a number on that now, but what I can tell you is that we look at sectors which we believe will give us long-term sustainable growth. And we believe by supporting and helping innovation in the blockchain space within a sensible regulatory framework, where we tell companies, you are welcome in Gibraltar, provided you play by the very strict rules that we apply, will result in a long-term sustainable business. Blockchain is here to stay. Tokens will have their days and will have different ways and different means of raising capital in the years to come. But I think the blockchain phenomenon is here to stay, and we want to seriously be a part of it. There's no downturn in the market, there's downturn in token sales. Mm-hmm. So people are looking at different ways of raising capital. That's absolutely normal. But when you look at the amount of money that was raised in 2017 through a whole series of token sales, those businesses are now beginning to gear up, and many will fail. It's inevitable. We want them to fail for the right reasons, because the technology didn't work or it wasn't popular. What we don't want them to do is to fail for the wrong reasons, because they took somebody else's money or they behaved in a way that they shouldn't have. That's exactly what our regulatory framework is there to protect the consumer from. We don't believe that Brexit has an impact on the blockchain and on the DLT work that we're doing. As you know, one of the issues in the European Union is where your servers are based. Blockchain is all over the world. So we believe, one, that the legislation that we are putting in is stricter than anything the European Union will come up with, so I don't think that'll be an issue for us. And two, we don't believe at this moment in time that it has any impact at all. Brexit is impacting on traditional financial services business. Our traditional partner, 92% of our business is with the United Kingdom. That's going to continue long after Brexit. So we believe we have insulated ourselves from those potential risks in the best way that we can. I own a very small amount, but I just thought I would try it. I think this is a long-term game. I don't think this is something to buy and expect to be able to move quickly. I think it's a 5, 10, 15-year investment. And I think we'll see how but obviously it's high risk, and anyone that goes into it has to go into it knowing 100% that it's very high risk. It's very volatile, and until the market stables and the issue of stable coins is becoming more interesting, we'll see how that develops. But it was more fun than anything else.